Hello, everyone. This is Professor Schachter recording our week 2 lecture. And the lecture is going to be on chapter 2 from your Felton book. And what we're going to be dealing with in this chapter is researching your product. So there's a lot of details in the Felton chapter, but I'd like to add my take on this. One of the main reasons why people don't do well when they do copywriting, whether it's professional or in this class, is because they don't do a lot of research on the brand. Now, students tend to take a lot of shortcuts and they believe they know some things and they just make assumptions from that point on. But most of the time, those assumptions are not correct. And just to let you know, I do check when students say things like, this product is not tested on animals. I'm going to do a Google search. And sometimes I find that the product is tested on animals. Another thing that students make an error with is they're very vague. Like, for example, the product is excuse me, the product is healthy. Well, what does healthy mean, right? So for some reason, healthy may mean low calories. For some people, healthy may mean the ingredients are all natural, there are no preservatives, no additives. So a big error that is made in the research process is too vague, too general. And no matter how many times I say, be specific, students still are too general. And I think this is going to impede your ability to do the assignment well. So be very specific. You have a multitude of places to research from. One of the places is our FIT library, which has wonderful resources for marketing. Okay, they have Simmons and all sorts of databases. That should be your first place to research your brand. Just because you did a Google search on one article does not mean that you have good research. You need multiple points. So, what are we researching now that I gave you that big intro? Okay, we're going to research the following topics. We're going to research what do consumers really want and why are they choosing that particular brand? Again, specifically, price is a factor, especially in inflationary times, but there are things that consumers will not sacrifice for cheaper alternatives. For example, iPhones or even some Android phones like Samsung. Some consumers who are very much into awareness of what they're eating will not sacrifice and all of a sudden say, you know what, I'm just going to eat junk food because I can't afford high quality food. So consumers are adjusting their expenses based on their priorities in life. Okay, so maybe they won't drink a Starbucks cup of coffee this week, and but they'll buy their multivitamins. Then another thing that ties into our product selection and brands is our value system. Brands represent things beyond just the utility of the product. One of those things that they represent is the value system. So those value systems could be, let's say, Patagonia, right? On environmental issues. It could be food products. It could be cosmetics products that don't do animal testing, or the package is recyclable, or a multitude of other factors. Okay, so that's important. But we also got to remember that just because you read something about a Gen Z or a millennial or boomer like myself, that doesn't mean all boomers, all millennials, and all Gen Zs are the same. A Gen Z is someone who was born during a certain time period. That's it. Same thing with a boomer, same thing with a millennial. It doesn't say anything. They're boomers who are vegan and they're boomers who eat only vegetables. There are Gen Zs who care about animals, and there are Gen Zs who go hunting. So Gen Z is not a declaratory statement saying that everyone is the same. And that's another error that students make. Okay. They believe that every person in a particular age cohort has the same beliefs and act in unison. They don't. Not even at FIT, not even in the classrooms of people you sit next to. So then we have to look at competition. And we're going to have an assignment on competition. So what is considered competition? Competition has to be a product that does similar promises or a better promise in the same area, but it has to be apples and apples. You can't say that Walmart brand competes with, let's say Coach, right? Forget Walmart. Let's say Coach. Coach does not compete with Louis Vuitton. It's a completely different positioning. So that's what we are trying to do. So when you read this chapter, please, I have it here on my iPad to my right, and I'm going to go over some of the things. So for example, where can you go? You go to the product after our FIT digital library. You go to your brand's website, but not for research, because the research on the brand's website is caca. I mean, they're not going to tell you insights. They're just going to tell you their marketing messages. Same thing with the competition. So what can you find out there? You can see how they present the product. You can see the imagery. So for example, if you go to an Equinox website, it's completely different imagery than Planet Fitness because it has different price points and different consumer mindsets. So keep in mind this, we are selling to a consumer mindset. That's it. Because all treadmills perform the same function. But a treadmill, to walk on a treadmill at Equinox, costs more than to walk on a treadmill at Planet Fitness, even if it's the same treadmill. Okay? So that's my point. My point is that we buy into brands and their messages and their positioning. Who do we want to be associated with? Do we want to be seen carrying an iPhone? Or do we want to see ourselves carrying a Samsung Android or Motorola? Or, yes, they still make phones. Or BlackBerry, they still make phones. Okay? So what kind of beverage do we want to see ourselves drinking? Because we live in a social environment, right? And that social environment dictates sometimes our actions. Do we want to be seen with this brand? Do we want to be seen with this other brand? What does the brand say about us? How does it present ourselves? And that's what we want to see in the research, that kind of deep dive where we can pinpoint the exact reason beyond utility. And don't just say healthy. Don't just say environmental. Be very, very, very specific. Thank you for watching.